Good morning. As Sharon says, my topic is being resilient. It's rather a strange topic, and except for about 6 months ago, I would not have chosen this topic. But what happened was I was in Chicago visiting my family, and my daughter-in-law and I were sitting having coffee, and she said to me, "Do you mind if I ask you a personal question?" And I said, "No, not at all." And she said, "You are a very resilient woman. Is there anything in your life that you think is facing you in the future that you could not handle?" And I went, wow, what a question. And after about 10 seconds, I said to her, "Yes, Carla, I think I could handle anything in the future. But," and that was a big but, "I would have a lot of trouble, as I have, with death of personal friends, with close family members. But I think I will continue to land on my feet." And then the phone rang. I'm not sure, I think it was a cell phone, and the conversation ended. So when I returned home from that visit, which was full of lots of joy, but that conversation haunted me. And when something bothers me, I start reading about it and studying about it. So that's what I did. And I want to share what I have learned about resiliency from my study. And basically, I want to talk about some general comments, and then how you develop this process, this attitude of resiliency, and then a speaker, pardon me, not a speaker, but an author that I really think addresses this and didn't really put this together. And his name is Viktor Frankl. One of my favorite books is Man's Search for Meaning. I want to comment on that. But let's start with the first thing, which is the definition. And before I do that, all of us have met many challenges in our life. And they can be personal, like what I just talked about, death of people, illness of people that are very close to us, our friends, our family. Other personal things like the loss of pets, also people that are harassed at work, ending of relationships that meant so much to us. We could go on and on. And there are also disasters. Some are man-made and some are natural. The hurricanes, the flooding, we could go on and on about that also. And then the man-made ones that always throw us into shock and surprise and sadness. The bombing of 9/11, the other tremendous losses that we've suffered as a nation. And we've all gone through those. And what is this all about is, what is the definition of being resilient? Well, resilient, and there are tons and tons of definitions out there, but one I like a lot is that we bend, but we never break. We bend, but we never break. And we grow from that experience. And I think that last part is very important. But there's another definition that's a much lighter one, but I think almost as profound. And those of you in the room are not as old as I am, and perhaps, so I want to explain to you that this was a commercial on TV a number of years ago. And basically, it was about a Timex watch. And this isn't a Timex watch. But what the person was doing was trying to convince all of us that this Timex watch was what we all wanted because it was waterproof. And so he stood up there in his very dignified manner, sounding like a newscaster, and said, "Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I want to tell you about this outstanding watch. It's not only a Timex, but it's a waterproof Timex." And then with a lot of drama, he would take off his watch like I just did and hold it up to a, and then there was a big pan of water there. And he would drop it down very dramatically, and the watch would slowly but surely sink to the bottom. And then with some more drama, he would reach in and pull it out, and then he would look at it and kind of wipe it off. And then he would put it to his ear and say, "That took quite a licking, but it is still ticking." Now, if that isn't being resilient, I don't know what is. Let's now talk about the second thing that I wanted to talk about, and that is, how do we develop this skill, this attitude? And it is a matter of developing it. And the more you read about it, they keep talking about it's a process. It doesn't happen overnight. It has to do with your outlook on life. And I was thinking of clouds, I guess because of the weather, and I thought, we all have our attitudes towards clouds, and one is, there's always a silver lining behind clouds. That's a very positive, upbeat type of attitude. But then there are some folks that have this attitude of, with every cloud, there's those lightning bolts behind it. A much more negative attitude. And what's the difference? Why do some of us think one way and some of us think the other way? And I think it boils down to a very simple four-letter word. And that four-letter word is hope, H-O-P-E. And this is a wonderful definition of hope, at least in my mind. And that is that hope is when the future matters more than the past, and it impacts the present. Future matters more than the past and impacts the present. That's what hope is all about. And if we could live that way, have that tenacity, that grit, we will have resiliency. The last thing I wanted to talk about is, and I could talk on and on about this, and thank goodness I'm on a clock here, and that is one of my favorite authors, which is Viktor Frankl. And if you don't know him, you want to get to know him. He wrote a wonderful book called Man's Search for Meaning. And he never uses the word resiliency, but that's what it's all about. And basically, he was a man, a doctor from Austria that was put in the Jewish concentration camps because of his religion. And you read this book, and all he does is talk about how wonderful life is if you just have the right attitude. And so what I've done is I have given my daughter-in-law this book as a birthday present, and we share quotes on how to live life well and positively. Thank you.